First, I would like to thank the whole UN Foundation for the opportunity. It's a real pleasure to be here. And it's a good sign for the future that the voice is being given to entrepreneurs and SMEs, to small guys, small people that are also actually creating solutions. So thank you very much. So myself, I'm Jesus Iglesias. I'm the international coordinator of Ecopreneurs for the Climate. As Annie was saying, we are a global movement for change, and we focus on empowering ecopreneurs that are providing climate solutions. And I have two of those people with me today, and I'll pass them the word. Rachida.
Merci, merci c'est Jésus. Alors Rachida Yacoubi, je suis présidente de l'association Rabat Initiative. C'est une plateforme d'appui aux initiatives individuelles. Nous donnons des prêts d'honneur aux jeunes porteurs de projets et nous accompagnons les femmes et les jeunes à la création d'entreprises. Je suis aussi présidente de l'association des femmes Entrelles, Rabat et Région. Nous accompagnons la création des femmes dans la création de richesses et dans la création d'entreprises. Voilà.
Thank you. Cyril.
Je m'appelle Cyril Colin, je suis le cofondateur et CEO de Elum Energy. Nous, on apporte des solutions locales pour le changement climatique par la gestion intelligente d'énergie renouvelable, donc production solaire et stockage par batterie, afin de réduire à la fois les coûts des bâtiments industriels et commerciaux et leurs émissions CO2.
All right, thank you both. So as you see, we are multicultural, multi-language, so this is the United Nations. And so we're going to start a conversation. It's going to be an informal conversation. We're going to talk about what's the contribution of SMEs and ecopreneurs to the Paris Agreement and to implementing as well the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So without further delay, I'm going to pose a few questions to the speakers, and they will intervene as they want. And then we will open the debate for the audience, both on site here and on the internet. All right. So first of all, we're going to talk about climate action. So Sustainable Development Goal number 13. We're here for climate action, aren't we? It's COP22, it's Solutions Time, Solutions Hour. So in order to implement the Paris Agreement and really keep us below 1.5 degrees Celsius of global warming, we really need to, as the Paris Agreement advocated for, we really need to advance innovation, really leapfrog innovation and cooperation across all sectors of society. So I'm gonna speak with these guys about what's their contribution to really bringing about innovation from the entrepreneurs level, because sometimes we know that small organizations can really be flexible, innovative, etc., as compared to governments or big multinationals. So, for example, Cyril, why do you think ecopreneurs like you are really well-equipped, well-prepared to foster innovative solutions to climate change compared to other agents of society?
Well, Jesus, I think we're well equipped because we basically are a small structure that are tailored to one specific goal. And based on this, we're not like as big companies. We have several objectives. We have several roadmaps with several time frame. Here we have one objective to answer our clients' needs. And our clients' needs is energy cost reduction as well as carbon emission reduction. And because we're tailored on a specific need, as Ecopreneur, we're able to tailor our solution specifically to a need, and therefore we're more equipped to address this kind of challenge.
All right. Also, SMEs in particular. So we're moving to next stage from entrepreneurs to SMEs. They're small by definition, right? SMEs, small and medium enterprises. But do they really compensate this small size by really collaborating with a lot of other like-minded organizations? So is cooperation really naturally embedded in SMEs as compared to big multinationals that maybe don't need so much cooperation? So the collaborative approach is really suited to SMEs. What do you guys think?
Bah, oui, parce qu'il y a l'accord de Paris le préconise. L'accord de Paris le préconise de favoriser l'innovation et la coopération entre tous les secteurs et les agents de la société. C'est clair, c'est vrai que les éco-entrepreneurs, ils sont très bien équipés maintenant pour construire des solutions innovantes et aider les petites entreprises dans des écosystèmes. Notre spécialité, c'est travailler avec les TPE, Donc ces TPE, nous attendons beaucoup des PME, des sociétés, des grosses entreprises justement à les aider et les faire justement travailler dans des petites structures avec les écosystèmes et les aider à ces petites entreprises. Voilà en général.
As far as for me, because we're smaller and we have, it's better. Ok, en français c'est mieux, décidément. Ok, donc parce que nous sommes des structures plus petites, on est capable donc d'aller chercher des compétences spécifiques chez d'autres acteurs petits également, pour être capable de faire des partenariats, ou alors même voilà, voir des partenariats de recherche, des partenariats industriels, pour être capable de leverager justement le fait qu'on soit petit et capable de faire plusieurs choses, qu'on n'ait pas encore des guidelines sur le long terme, on soit capable d'aller voir exactement ce qu'il nous faut et d'aller faire les partenariats qu'il nous faut au bon moment. Voilà.
So you've been speaking about ecosystems. It's a buzzword a little bit these days. But what kind of ecosystems do really entrepreneurs need to flourish, to really scale up their impact? What kind of actors they have to be involved? You know, governments, investors. What kind of actors do you guys really need to really scale up your impact and really have a say in society?
On a besoin donc de financement public, donc de soutien du gouvernement pour développer les entreprises et l'innovation. Donc ça, c'est des choses qui sont... donc par exemple, moi je parle pour la France, c'est des choses qui sont très bien faites aujourd'hui là-dessus, sur le soutien des startups en particulier. Et on a besoin donc d'organismes pour nous mettre en lien avec des grands groupes, des grands comptes qui sont des clients potentiels pour nous et qui vont nous permettre donc de trouver des modèles d'affaires réplicables, ce qui est finalement le besoin d'une start-up pour être capable de scaler. Voilà.
Rachida,
au Maroc aussi, il y a beaucoup de programmes au niveau de Maroc PME. Il aide beaucoup les petites entreprises et les moyennes entreprises par des programmes financés par le Maroc PME. Plusieurs programmes, MTS, Moussanada, c'est des programmes qui sont destinés au lancement des startups.
Et voilà. Et là, sur la structure que nous créons au Maroc actuellement, donc nous avons gagné un prix d'innovation donc soutenu par le ministère de l'Environnement ici. Donc on tenait à remercier, donc c'est le Global Climate Innovation Program, soutenu par le Clean Tech Open. Donc on tenait à remercier les différents acteurs pour le soutien et donc la croissance de notre entreprise ici au Maroc.
Pour enchaîner, c'était Clean Tech, le projet Clean Tech, c'était 6 finalistes avec un projet extraordinaire des startups qui ont été primés. C'est des prix qui ont été organisés par le Clean Tech avec le ministère de l'Environnement. Et j'espère que ça va être encouragé. Le projet va être étalé sur plusieurs années pour encourager les jeunes startups justement à créer leur entreprise.
So as you can see, there is a lot of support that is being given from government, for instance, both at the national level and on the international level. There is cooperation between France and Morocco, and there is also international programs like clean tech programs that have foreign entrepreneurs coming over here and collaborating with local entrepreneurs. Because Cyril, maybe you can talk about your partner, your business partner. He's from here, so you guys international in that sense.
So as far as for international stuff, we're basically a good example because we studied first in France, okay, then we were abroad, UC Berkeley, California, then we came back to France, and my co-founder is from Morocco, so we basically had a whole trip around the world. So that's also Ecopreneur. It's being able to leverage several experiences. What? Sorry, in concrete, with international. So we developed the technology in UC Berkeley, California. So it helped us with researchers and their skills over there. And then we came back to France to have some support and to create the research and development team. And now we're creating a commercial company in Morocco to commercialize the technologies that we developed in France and in the US. Okay. So so we develop a software, okay? So it's the brain of the energy system. So just to explain you, in the past, all the energy was produced with big power plants, like nuclear power plants, centralized energy. And because we're moving towards decentralized energy, so it means that every building will be able to produce its own energy, okay? And that's mainly due to the fact that you have solar panels that are now cheaper and that are more competitive than the grid, and energy storage, so batteries that are now cheaper and cheaper. So because of this, now every building is able to produce its own energy and store it to use it later. And what we do is we do the brain of this system. So we forecast everything and we're able to... Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you for the answer. So yeah, another question?
Your decentralized system, is it by chance blockchain based?
It will be.
It will
For
be.
the moment, it's decentralized in terms of energy. The localization of the energy is produced at the level of the building instead of at the level of the
centralized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But our vision, like today, is to be able to equip and to adapt the energy needs of one building, and in the end, is to be able to bring several buildings together, and for them to share energy between them. And one of the means to do that is blockchain.
Okay.
Yes.
Because this, the solution for the 17 sustainable goals is what we're all here about. And the blockchain, of course, is the value transfer system, and it's the IoT value transfer system between the Internet of Things. In these other projects, are there ways that people can share value and for their actions in their activities? And of course, this is a leading question because we have a thing called the SDG token, which is to solve this problem of how energy is distributed and personal value is shared and invested.
A very relevant question. Thank you very much. So how do we do this exchange and this transfer of knowledge and experiences, right? From our point of view, Ecopreneurs for the Climate, we are a network of global climate innovation labs. And what we do is we really foster the exchange of best practices and innovations between entrepreneurs like these guys. And then we try to find other entrepreneurs that replicate those best models locally. So the winner of the 2016 Global Week of Green Business and the Climate Movement, which is one of the activities that we do to really foster this exchange, is here, Cyril Colin from Elum Energy. He's the perfect example of how a small company can really foster innovation and can really create this cooperative environment where, you know, people producing their own energy can really share it in a community level and be smart about their management. So it's a smart grid solution.
So maybe, yeah, you wanted to have figures, specific figures about what we do and what is our impact. Okay, so imagine a mine, okay, a mine that's extracting en français. Donc, imaginez une mine d'extraction de cuivre, par exemple, au Maroc. Donc, c'est pas l'imagination, c'est ce qui se passe aujourd'hui. Aujourd'hui, elle va être en dehors du réseau électrique et elle va consommer typiquement de l'énergie qui vient de générateurs diesel, donc de générateurs qui produisent de l'énergie venant de fuel, donc quelque chose qui est très polluant. Donc c'est très polluant et ça coûte environ 1 € le kilowattheure. Et nous, ce qu'on propose, c'est par l'installation de panneaux solaires et de batteries à la place de ces générateurs diesel, on va diminuer le coût d'une part, puisque c'est 25 centimes maintenant solaire plus stockage, donc on divise par 4 le coût, et on divise les émissions de CO2 aussi énormément. Donc l'idée, c'est sur une mine de 10 mégawatts, en un an, on va économiser 27 kilotonnes de CO2. Et ça, c'est 4 tours du monde en voiture. C'est pour vous donner un ordre d'idée. On fait le logiciel qui permet de faire ça. Exactement. Oui. Exactement. Ça s'appelle l'Energy OS. C'est la même chose que sur un téléphone. Voilà, chacun a un smartphone où il y a l'iOS, où il y a Android dessus pour gérer le téléphone. Et nous, on va gérer l'énergie pour tout type de système. Donc, voilà. Et c'est commercialisé déjà, exactement. Oui, tout à fait.
Madame, we will have questions in the end. Yes, we have to move on. Thank you very much. Thanks. Oh. We'll
Non,
have the questions
enfin,
later.
j'ai-
Thank you. Yes, we have to continue. Yes, Rachida. Go.
Je réponds. Alors, moi, au niveau de Cleantech, j'étais mon mentor. On a mentoré les jeunes porteurs de projets dans le cadre du projet Cleantech. Voilà. Donc, nous accompagnons les jeunes à la création d'entreprises et nous faisons les business plans et le suivi, l'accompagnement et le parrainage et le financement des projets. Donc,
All right, we're going to
non,
move on.
nous,
Thank you. Lady, we'll have questions in the end.
c'est une plateforme d'appui aux initiatives individuelles. C'est un partenariat public-privé. Voilà, donc c'est Rabat Initiative initiée par l'Agence de développement social et l'INDH.
So as you can see here, we have an entrepreneur himself, and then we have a support organization, somebody that is creating this ecosystem in Morocco to really, scale up the impact of entrepreneurs like him. So just recapping very, very quickly, we've been talking about climate action, Sustainable Development Goal number 13. Cyril has been talking to us about his innovation, how he's really reducing CO2 emissions and really fostering this cooperation with other entrepreneurs and SMEs. And Rachida has been talking a little bit about how do you create these ecosystems of other supportive actors that really help flourish these entrepreneurs. So now we're going to move on to another different Sustainable Development Goal, which is number 5, which is gender equality, right? As you know, gender equality has to be embedded in all the other goals. So now we're going to talk about the perspective of entrepreneurs and SMEs in how to, create this environment where gender equality is a reality, right? So for that, I'm going to start asking first Rachida. Do you see eco-entrepreneurship as a viable alternative for women, perhaps in rural areas most,
Yes.
to really become economically independent, to really become empowered?
Yes.
And perhaps in the future, this empowerment can lead to better education for children and even for girls in particular. How do you see this, Rachida?
Yes. La femme est la première ligne qui rentre dans les changements climatiques. C'est vrai que dans l'exercice de leurs droits, les femmes n'avanceront pas. Elles n'avanceront pas. Ceci est vrai pour les femmes rurales surtout. Elles ont tendance à oublier leurs droits. Et ils ont des disparités plus tenaces et plus accentuées dans le milieu rural surtout. Donc la femme dans le milieu rural, elle apporte une contribution majeure au niveau de l'agriculture et au niveau de l'économie rurale. Mais malheureusement, elle se trouve devant des obstacles, des barrières qui sont bien sûr l'éducation de la petite fille, l'accès au financement, l'accès à la propriété aussi, parce que généralement les femmes n'ont pas un bien à donner aux banques justement pour garantir, pour avoir un prêt, et l'accès à la formation. Donc ça c'est un problème majeur que pose au niveau c'est aux stratégies justement politiques et aux programmes gouvernementaux d'assurer qu'on a des programmes qui ont continué à avoir plus d'obstacles au niveau de la femme rurale. Donc ça crée un problème. Des barrières au niveau systémique justement de relations. Voilà.
And in terms of education, do you think women that are entrepreneurs themselves, by the example, perhaps, can really teach girls that they have this chance of actually, becoming their own bosses and becoming their own leaders, So by fostering really women entrepreneurship, do you think we are educating girls in this potential viable alternative career of becoming eco-entrepreneurs and preserving the environment and at the same time creating jobs for their families and their communities? What do you think? Education is a key here?
L'éducation, c'est l'élément majeur. L'élément majeur, justement, d'avoir justement la femme rurale et la femme en général. C'est vrai qu'au niveau du Maghreb, au niveau du Maroc, il y a 8 millions de femmes qui ne sont pas analphabètes. Donc, c'est quand même un tiers de la population qui sont analphabètes. Donc, la femme, elle ne peut pas assurer une bonne éducation, une bonne entrepreneuriat s'il n'y a pas une éducation au niveau de la famille et au niveau aussi de la communauté. Donc, moi, je trouve que c'est le problème majeur, la solution majeure, c'est d'abord l'accompagnement et l'éducation de la femme en général et la lutte contre l'analphabétisation au niveau du monde rural surtout. Donc ça, c'est des pistes. Et il y a les alternatives, je crois que c'est l'économie verte et l'économie rurale. L'économie verte, l'entrepreneuriat vert, c'est la seule solution qui peut donner attrait à cette problématique.
Cyril, what do you think about this in France? How's it going over there?
Concrete example as well. We're seeing incubator in Paris, and we're now seeing co-founders and CEOs that are women. It was not that in the past, and we're really happy to see that, because we're not only men in the incubators, and we see that that women can also bring a beautiful project and a value-added project to the Ecopreneur level. So I think that things are moving and towards the right direction.
Au niveau de notre plateforme, nous offrons l'accès à ces femmes-là justement par le financement. Nous ouvrons les portes aux banques par le prêt d'honneur. Nous donnons des prêts d'honneur de 10 000 à 150 000 dirhams. Donc ça leur fait un apport personnel et ça va justement ce prêt d'honneur va ouvrir aux banques la porte à ces femmes-là pour la création d'entreprises et pour donc ça. Et il y a aussi la microfinance. La microfinance, nous orientons les femmes vers la microfinance pour convaincre, si vous voulez, les organismes financiers à financer ces femmes-là. Donc, nous avons des projets d'innovation de femmes très très bien au niveau des régions du Sud. Nous avons 2 projets porteurs. C'est la création d'une coopérative dans la région de Kala. Cette coopérative, on essaie d'implanter l'arganier avec des produits à côté. Donc l'arganier avec le thym pour le thymol et aussi la vigne pour les raisins secs. Donc ça, c'est un projet porté par une femme dans la région de Jadida, dans un douar. Et nous avons aussi un autre projet de maison d'hôtes faite avec des produits du terroir, avec des produits naturels. C'est espace potager avec du compost et tout ça. Et avec la récupération d'eau de pluie, la climatisation par des tuyaux de l'eau des puits. Donc c'est vraiment écologique à 100%. Donc ces femmes-là, nous les encourageons par notre association Entrelles à avoir justement des financements surtout. C'est le seul problématique que vivent les femmes chez nous, surtout dans le milieu rural.
So as you can see, Rachida is telling us that women entrepreneurs not only are solving environmental challenges in rural areas, mostly in rural areas, they're keeping traditions, they're creating local jobs, and most importantly, they're showing girls that this is possible and this is an alternative. So they're really creating social and environmental value at the same time and providing with climate solutions on the ground. So women are key, especially in rural areas, to really foster climate innovation. And particularly, let's move on to France. You were saying, Cyril, that you still see a lot more male entrepreneurs than women entrepreneurs in incubators in France. Why do you think is that? Any systemic barriers that exist that are really pushing back a little women and still is a more male-oriented environment entrepreneurship? Do you think, what are the barriers that exist in France?
So I'm maybe a little bit biased because I'm in a really art technologies specific incubator. We're not like e-commerce. We're not general speaking incubator. We're like focused on engineering and technology incubator. So naturally, you have more men engineers than not naturally, but you have more men engineers than women engineers. So naturally, you tend to have more founders in technology companies that are men. And I think that women in the past didn't dare as well be an entrepreneur as men, and I think that's changing now because as I was telling you. But even in other sector, it's even bigger, and now you have a proportion that are almost equal, I think. So
it's a generational thing. Maybe there was a culture of our predecessors that was fostering more male entrepreneurship in a way, but now it's changing, and more women are taking steps in that direction. So I think we're moving right on Sustainable Development Goal number 5, and so now, depending on time, we still got some time over there. Yeah, all right. So we're gonna have an extra question. This is related to Sustainable Development Goal 16 and 13. Is the link between the two? how do we connect social justice and climate justice, right, from the entrepreneur's perspective? So an entrepreneur is creating jobs for their community, jobs that are decent paying, jobs that are local, so they're empowering communities in a way that is bringing about social justice in a way. And how do you link that to climate justice? For instance, joining the climate movement with NGOs, etc. How do entrepreneurs can really be part of the climate movement and not be just left aside, as usually happens? There's a divide between business and NGOs. So how can they work together, NGOs and entrepreneurs? How can they work together to really link social justice and climate justice? It's a complicated one.
Well, the answer for me is like I'm a corporation, and I have a link with Ecopreneurs for the Climate. You're helping us towards the climate award that you awarded to us, and that's what the climate cooperation between and the climate justice is about. Is like being able with the SMEs and startups to be able to have close links with this organization, to be able to find solutions that would be more relevant for the local population, I think. So.
And Rachida?
Rachida, c'est moi dans le cadre de l'agriculture surtout. Il faut que l'agriculture a une triple performance. C'est que ce soit une nécessité, une opportunité en même temps. Et il faut aussi, notre ambition, c'est encourager l'entrepreneuriat féminin dans le cadre de l'efficience, l'équité sociale et bien sûr l'économique et le social surtout. Donc c'est vrai, il y a une justice climatique, mais il faut que ce soit dans tous les secteurs d'activité et surtout encourager la femme dans cette équité sociale et par le financement, par les stratégies gouvernementales des programmes qui sont dédiés aux femmes et surtout le droit aux femmes pour qu'ils aient leur autonomie et pour faire sortir ces femmes-là de l'informel. Parce que c'est vrai que beaucoup de femmes travaillent au Maroc dans l'informel. Ils n'ont aucune considération, c'est des créatrices de richesse, c'est créatrices de richesse au niveau du Maroc, mais ça reste quand même, il y a une justice sociale, une justice climatique qui doit prendre en considération ces femmes-là.
Okay, as you can see, there's a real connection that we need to foster between NGOs and entrepreneurs. In the case of Cyril, for instance, he was saying that by participating in our program, he's been able to get in touch with several organizations, and he's getting this social perspective incorporated into his core business. And in the case of Rachida in Morocco, she's clearly saying that, once again, the gender perspective is really important. It says that there has to be female associations of female entrepreneurs that really support female entrepreneurs because they have this special awareness on environmental and social issues. So NGOs, associations that really support women in entrepreneurship are really important. And also governmental support is also fundamental. So we really see here the need for this big ecosystem, this vibrant ecosystem of different actors that support entrepreneurs and put them in contact with NGOs. Because we need to be at the intersection between NGOs and businesses, not just as we're working at the moment, perhaps, where big international corporations are only defending themselves from NGOs as if it was as a fight. We have to start working with one another from the very beginning. So we are here, two NGOs that support entrepreneurs, and we're working together to really build a different future, right, from the start. Not just once impact is on the ground and it's negative and then turn it positive. We need to start developing companies from the ground up that are social and are bringing climate and social justice. So any further words from your side?
Go ahead.
Moi, je trouve que c'est l'éducation et la formation des femmes à tous les secteurs. Voilà, moi, c'est le conseil que je puisse donner et c'est le soutien majeur in fine qu'il faut donner à ces femmes-là. C'est l'éducation d'abord qui peut permettre justement aux enfants, aux futures générations de respecter les changements climatiques. Et voilà, c'est l'éducation et les formations des femmes qui est important.
Donc, there you go. One of the keys for our different future is really empowering and educating girls, and making them see that it's possible to become eco-entrepreneurs and change our world. So, with that being said, We're going to open a Q&A session for the audience, perhaps on the internet, so we've got some questions.
Hello, thank you guys so much. And I think you touched on this a little bit with talking about girls and women and about climate justice and social justice. But how do we, while we're creating entrepreneurship, how do we make that the process inclusive, really including these stakeholders? How do we have that kind of feedback integrated in the solutions that we're creating?
Who wants to go? Rachida? So, yeah, I'm going to translate in French a little bit. Elle parle de comment on peut intégrer la philosophie un peu d'inclusion, l'économie inclusive, un peu dans le processus de la création d'entreprises. Donc, comment faire que le processus de création d'entreprise soit plus inclusif pour tous les différents acteurs, les différentes parties de la société.
Bah, d'abord, nous c'est un des critères d'éligibilité au niveau de notre plateforme. Donc voilà, ça déjà nous le faisons déjà. Donc c'est un des critères d'éligibilité. Et maintenant, il y a une adaptation majeure de la population sur ces effets-là. Donc nous sommes déjà dans ça avec nos jeunes porteurs de projets. Et nous exigeons justement avec les politiques gouvernementales, c'est une des conditions maintenant des pouvoirs publics et des politiques publiques au niveau du Maroc. Voilà.
And at our level, we're really focused on putting metrics to be able to achieve an equilibrium between men and women at work with us. And I think it's really beneficial for us to have a team that's not only men, even if we're a lot of engineers and like it's easier to recruit men because there's more men in the engineering world. But we're really focused on building a balanced team and an equilibrium between men and women there.
So as you can see, the criteria from the very selection of the entrepreneurs into governmental programs has to be adapted to vulnerable groups, to minorities, and be open in that sense to reach out to them and really provide them with facilities to access these programs. So the whole process from the very start has to be inclusive, as you were saying. Any further questions?
So your businesses are basically like living proof that green energy and green entrepreneurship is, profitable, right? But there doesn't seem to be the idea that, that doesn't seem to be a popular notion. How do you reverse that?
Yeah, I didn't get the end of the question.
Oh, yeah. So how do you reverse the idea that green energy and green tech and green business in general is not profitable?
Okay. So what I was saying before is so we're in a business in the first place. Okay. So we need to make money. We need to have revenues and to have performance in this. So we're focusing on bringing a good return on investment project and to have something that are economically viable. And then we have the positive impact. Okay, we don't think that it's going to be the green totally the green part that will lead to the rest. I think that's people tend to be focused on the economic return on investment, and companies that's are their purposes. So we can blame them, but then we can bring solutions that are economically viable. And there's today I was saying solar plus storage and or software is economically viable today. And bring value for the environment as well. So that's, I think, how it's shaped for me, and that's how I see things on the subject. So.
Rachida, you want to add something?
Je rejoins son idée. C'est vrai qu'au niveau de nos entreprises, il y a cette innovation. Donc, il y a une prise de conscience de l'innovation maintenant. Donc, c'est la création de ces alternatives-là qui donnent maintenant, il y a tout un système du ministère du commerce et de l'industrie qui encourage ces initiatives-là dans le cadre de l'innovation et des jeunes créateurs, voilà. Par des projets, par des prix, Donc là maintenant c'est un pas vers l'innovation, un pas vers ces startups-là. Donc en plus.
So as you see, the green economy is still in the beginning stages, but it really needs to have to be pushed and be supported by governments and by other actors. But we really need to redefine a little bit what we understand as a green business or a sustainable entrepreneur. From our perspective, Ecopreneurs for the Climate, what we believe is that people that are solving environmental issues, that are providing solutions to climate change, both on the mitigation and adaptation side, on a viable and economically viable perspective. So they have to be a profitable business. They have to be business, as we call them, for benefit, not just for profit, but for benefit, triple benefit. And at the same time, they have to create value for society. I mean, they have to focus on really creating jobs locally that are decent paying, that are providing equality opportunities. And then economics is a means. I mean, financially viability is a means to achieve a greater good, which is social and environmental value. So green economy is profitable. Green economy is viable. We need to push it. We need to be aware of it. We need to be supportive of it. And we need to involve everybody in stepping into that direction, which is the only one possible moving forward. But you see, in markets right now, clean energy is more competitive than fossil fuels, potentially without subsidies going in the wrong direction. So we are in the market, and we're working, and we are, as you know, also the green economy is more labor intensive, so it creates more jobs than fossil fuels.
And don't forget about externalities. This gentleman is asking questions about profitability. Oil companies and don't forget about the externalities. We have not counted on the external factors to our profit-making businesses in the past. Now we have to. So the profitable companies of the past, the oil companies and so on, they will not be profitable. The companies that are doing benefit to society, to the environment, and even to the economy, especially local, decentralized economies, they will be profitable. Why? Because the other ones will be driven out of business. Because we cannot continue to ignore the externalities. And the social side of it, again, this balance between the economic, we've been, let's say, commanded by the economic principles for many, many, many centuries. And now we're realizing that there's a social side. Again, the SDG token, but that's the social side. We need to do these things as companies who are socially responsible. They've also employing a gender equality. They're employing all of these elements. They were not employed before by Exxon and Monsanto. They're not. So this is the new world. You're experiencing a new world. This is the change now. Post-Trump era is going to be a social era because we're going to take responsibility for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So perhaps time for a last question. Audience or internet? No? That seems to be it. So some final words from the protagonists here. Cyril, Rachida, you want to add something to to eternity?
No, I wanted to say thank you for the UN Foundation and to everyone here that allowed this talk to be possible, and for Jesus and Rachida for helping us on a day-to-day basis. So, thank you very much, everyone.
Ben, je remercie tout le monde. Je trouve que la solution, c'est dans l'innovation, dans les éco-entrepreneurs. Nous sommes là pour les encourager la femme en général dans le monde entier. C'est vrai que les droits de la femme ne sont pas encore acquis, mais nous nous battons justement pour avoir nos droits comme il se doit. Voilà. Donc, merci beaucoup. J'espère que l'innovation va trouver des solutions aussi dans les changements climatiques. Merci.
So thank you very much, Cyril and Rachida. As you've seen here today, we have entrepreneurs that are creating innovations that are socially and environmentally responsible. You have supportive ecosystems that are really putting the focus on minorities and vulnerable groups and women. And climate change is the greatest challenge that we all face. But it can also be an opportunity to change things from the ground up. It can be the opportunity to really reinvent ourselves. And it's working. It's happening on the ground right here. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.